Hey, it's Ben. Welcome back to my channel. This is the first video that I've done since living in Costa Rica. In probably the middle of winter back where you're at, but just so you know, it's 85 and sunny here. I would flip the camera around, but you might get sad and stop watching. I'd like to talk a little bit today about the incel crisis. Whether it be sounding off on social media or message boards, being jerks in public, perpetrating violence, or even mass shootings. Incels can be in our face in many ways. Now, many of you might be wondering, what exactly is an incel? An incel is a combination of two words, involuntary and celibate. Now, this is somebody that would like to be in a relationship with somebody, but isn't able to, for one reason or another. I'd like to look at it from two viewpoints. The first being a Christian, and the second being someone who'd like to bring some of the economic questions into it. Now, when they say involuntary, I believe this is somewhat deceptive because a lot of decisions that these people have made that have gotten them to this point weren't involuntary decisions at all. These were decisions that they chose to make. Decisions related to their lifestyle, decisions related to their health, decisions related to their job. They made these decisions that put them in a very bad spot. In economics, there's something called supply and demand. When a resource is scarce, there's usually a higher demand for it. And the opposite is also true. When something's really common, people don't want it that much. A good example of this would be gold. Gold is valuable because there's not a lot of it. There's not a high supply of it. It's very scarce. And let's look at the opposite end, dirt. We don't see anyone stockpiling dirt in their house. We don't see anyone putting dirt in their 401k. No, it's gold that people want because gold is valuable because it's scarce. I believe the same is also true for incels. There is not a high demand for them in the marriage and dating market because they're very common. They're people that haven't achieved very much. They're people that are out of shape. Maybe they don't have good jobs. Those types of things have made the demand for them very low. So I'd like to give 5 quick pieces of advice to anyone who might find themselves in this situation. I think these are good pieces of advice for life, so anyone can benefit of them, but I'd like to make a disclaimer. Being a Christian, I'd like to say that I'm not trying to give somebody advice that they can go out and find a girlfriend to be involved with outside of marriage. I believe that sex is something that's for marriage, and so I'd like to make that disclaimer. The first thing, stop doing things that you know are wrong. Maybe you're using too much alcohol, maybe you're using too much tobacco, you're spending too much time doing things that in your heart you can think to yourself, these are wrong. And I think if people can just get those out of their life, I think they'll be doing a lot better. Also, you might want to think about things like playing video games, looking at pornography, those types of things. I think people might say, well, in a weird sort of way, people might be willing to say those might not be that bad, but I think in everyone's heart, they know that too much of those things is unhealthy. Think of these types of things as incel binge foods. The second thing, get a hobby. Actually, 2 of them if you can. I heard someone say once that everyone needs 2 hobbies. One to keep them fit and one to keep their brain smart. Now, when I'm talking about these hobbies, please don't look back to the things that I was talking about before, the video games, things like that. I'm talking about something like exercise, something like origami, something like cooking, maybe learn how to blog, maybe get a YouTube channel, maybe take an online class. There's tons of free online classes in pretty much anything that you could possibly want to learn. 3, get and keep a job. This might seem like a no-brainer, but no, seriously, get and keep a job. It'll put you around people that can help you to see the areas in your life that maybe aren't right. They can help you learn how to be a better person because you'll be interacting with people every day. It'll force you to actually start taking better care of yourself. 4, get plugged into a local church. This also serves you in getting around people that want your best. Now, it might seem strange or awkward at first. Maybe you feel like people judge you, and you know what? They might. But if you keep going back and they keep seeing you there week after week after week, eventually people will start being interested in you and you'll start to gain friends and maybe even a mentor. And plus you'll hear what's going on from the pastor, the speaker, the person giving the message. You'll be able to benefit from what they have to say. 5, stop trying to get a girlfriend. There's nothing worse than somebody that's just so desperate for something. They just keep going after it and going after it and going after it. And then eventually they start complaining, nobody wants to go out with me and all this stuff like that. And there's a bigger picture thing here. People are actually scared and run from people that are needy. And when you're needy around people, it actually pushes them away. And so when you stop being so needy, actually, people will stop being as scared or as afraid of that neediness. So I'd like to tie all 5 of these things into this idea of victimhood. When you say, I'm an incel, I'm involuntarily celibate, you're saying that it's somebody else's fault. It's those girls' fault, it's somebody's fault that you can't get a girlfriend or nobody wants to be with you, and you're putting the control somewhere else, somewhere that's not inside you. You're saying it's their fault, the problem is out there, which isolates you from feedback in your own life. Once people stop playing the victim card, they're able to start focusing on themselves and the things that maybe they need to change in their life to make themselves better, to make themselves more attractive to the opposite sex, to help themselves out, to make themselves more in demand in the workplace. So with those 5 pieces of advice, I'd also like to say, stop being a victim. Wherever you are at, whoever you are, the one thing that's the worst possible thing that you can do is be a victim. There you have them. 5 things plus a bonus. See you next time.